Okay, next up is DNA and movement. So going back to your DNA report, on the second page of the summary, which is the 5th page of the report, starts with these things up here. So this is your endurance versus sprinter gene, and this is how effective your body loses weight with exercise. That's the page that I want you on. So your options for your sprint gene are sprint, endurance, or I think they call it, I forget what they call it, if they call it combined or a mixture of those things. So keep in mind that with genetics, we think of recessive and dominant, and that's not really how genetics works. You have this particular outcome, and one of each means that they're somewhat blended, and you can kind of swing from one way to the other based on your epigenetics, diet, lifestyle, stress, sleep, environment, even the time of year. So when you have those blended things, you might find that you actually shift and change and respond to different things in different ways at different times, instead of being more right-leaning or left-leaning in terms of having both genes for the same, or both genes are the same allele. Okay, so my daughter and I both have the endurance gene, which is kind of funny because it's the one gene I wish I didn't have, and less than 14% of people actually have the endurance gene. These are the few people who do well with endurance type activities. There are not many of them. If you've ever noticed that most endurance athletes actually look kind of ridiculously out of shape, it's because they're so inflamed. The human body is not designed to do chronic cardio, long-term cardio with like running, distance running, that kind of stuff is actually very harmful for most bodies. Unless, of course, you are one of the 14% of people who have this gene. And even then, there is such a thing as chronic cardio that can harm your organs, can harm your joints, and can increase inflammation and cortisol levels. But only that 14% of people actually do well with lengthy exercise, long durations, at a steady pace. Not a lot of people. Yet what is the number one thing that they tell you to do when you go to the gym and you want to lose weight? Cardio. Boring, long, steady state cardio. Literally the worst thing for 86% of the population. Keep that in mind. Okay, so if you are a sprinter, what does that mean? It means short durations, high intensity interval exercise is really great for you. Sprinting, lifting, Olympic lifting, CrossFit, those are great options for someone who has that sprint gene. If you need more moderate exercise, if you have joint problems or an injury, talk to your mentor about how to use that sprint gene and find exercises that are good for you that can be scalable. If you're in the middle and you have the mixed movement gene, meaning you have one allele for each, again, high intensity interval training, doing things like changing up your workout. So every day it's different. Going from sports to gym and back again and changing things up that way is great for someone like you. Make sure that no matter which gene you have, you incorporate a few fundamental functional movements. Everyone should be squatting. Everyone should be lunging. Everyone should be bending. Everyone should be jumping. We also want to include flexibility, whether that's yoga or it is stretching, Pilates type movements, some kind of stretching every day. You want to do strength. Even if you have the endurance gene, you need strength training. You have to tear muscle fiber to build muscle. And that's always our goal. More lean muscle means higher metabolic rate, means that we burn more fat. We're more efficient fat burning machines and we store less fat when we have more muscle. Another reason why weighing yourself is irrelevant, but we'll get to that another time. So strength, flexibility, some cardio, not chronic cardio. So that can be sprinting. It can be just doing like Tabata type exercises where it's back to back to back exercises with small breaks. That's going to improve cardiovascular strength and VO2 max more than running a marathon is ever going to do. So strength, flexibility, that's what we're calling endurance, cardiovascular. And I'm missing one. Balance is the other one. And again, balance can come in the form of yoga. It can come in the form of other exercises. It can come in the form of activity. But all of those things are what make up a good workout. And then using those 4 elements in a way that fits how your biology works is how you determine what the best exercise is for you. And I had a little chat in our group yesterday, and that particular person has a chronic pulmonary and cardiac condition, and so she's trying to build up her workouts. My point in this is that longer duration does not ever equate to better health or better exercise outcome. I talked about, one of the books that I had read was The 4-Hour Body. And while I don't love everything that he says, there were a lot of great points in that book. And you can have a very effective workout in 6 minutes a day. That's all it takes if you're doing the right movements. And you can cover balance, flexibility, endurance, and strength in 6 minutes a day. You don't have to have an hour-long workout 6 days a week to have results. If anything, that can be harmful and dangerous. And I've had a lot of people who come to me and they're like, Lan, I'm just not losing weight and I don't understand why. But they're working out for an hour to an hour and a half a day, wondering why they're not getting results. And it's because they are severely systemically inflamed. They are undercutting every good thing they do with too much of the wrong kind of exercise. So figuring out the right kind, the right duration, and being consistent is really important. But understand that you don't build a body in the gym. Your endorphins go up. It's great for your mood. But very few people actually build muscle necessarily or lose fat by gym alone. 85% of your results are going to come from what you put into your body in the form of supplementation, in the form of food. The other 15% comes from exercise. Exercise is still very important because it helps with mental health. It does help with inflammation when done correctly. And it helps to tear the muscle fibers so that when our protein is adequate and our diet is good, we can then create more muscle. So that takes us to the next one, which is the efficiency you have of building muscle and losing weight with exercise alone. My daughter happens to be the highest and I happen to be the lowest, which means that she will have a good result if she combines diet and exercise. Whereas my results are going to come mostly from diet, and the exercise for me really is just keeping me in a good mood. And so then you have your aerobic potential, risk of energy, and delayed onset muscle soreness. And so these are going to help you figure out how to best recover from or prevent injury when working out. So for example, the aerobic potential is going to talk about VO2 max. Some of us need to strengthen that. Some of us are less likely to have good oxygen saturation, and we have to work on that. I have a breathing app that I work on. I do a lot of deep breathing exercises, which we're about to start a series on the vagus nerve. I'm going to talk a lot about deep breathing. And inside our affiliate links, there's actually a class, a deep breathing class that is offered not from us, but that's really awesome. The risk of injury, what we're looking at there is connective tissue disorders and the likelihood of tendon and ligament injuries. I have a genetic predisposition to making less collagen and too much elastin, and therefore I'm prone to tendon, ligament, and cartilage injuries, as well as inflammation of my soft tissue. And so I'm more likely to get injured, which I do. My kids joke that I can hurt myself standing still. And the delayed onset muscle recovery or delayed onset muscle soreness tells us if you're the kind of person who, let's say you work out really hard and the next day you feel great, and then 2 days later you can't pee by yourself because you can't squat to go to sit on the toilet, right? So how do we deal with those things proactively so that you don't hurt yourself, you recover faster? And in here, if you go to injury and then flip it over for delayed onset muscle soreness, we talk about what you can do preventatively, what you can do afterwards to help you recover faster. So all of that information is in that report for you. I hope that that was really helpful breaking that down. The third thing we're going to talk about in the last of our videos on DNA is actually going to cover how that impacts your assessment. So I'll see you soon.